Okay, today we're going to talk about showing a fraction of a group. So when we have a group, we want to know just a fraction of that group and how many are in that fraction. So let's take a look at this problem. Audrey buys a bouquet of 12 flowers. 1/3 of them are red. How many of the flowers are red? So we want to find 1/3 of 12. So since you want to find 1/3 of that group, we have to put them into 3 equal groups. Okay, so we should have, let me put the 3 in here. We're going to have 3 equal groups. Let me make these a bit bigger. There we go. Okay. So here are 3 equal groups. Because we're doing it in thirds, 1/3, that denominator tells us how many groups. So we have 1, 2, 3 groups. Now we know we have 12 flowers. So to find 1/3 of that group, we have to split the 12 flowers into the 3 groups. So let's do that. Let me go ahead and go back to my pointer. And let's put 1 dot in each group until we get to 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So now we knew there were 3 groups because we're splitting them into thirds. There are 12 total flowers, so we're going to split those 12 flowers into the 3 groups. The denominator tells us how many groups. We're going to circle one of those groups to show 1/3. So if we're only looking for 1/3, then we're only looking for one of these groups. So how many are in that group? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we can say that that group, hold on, I'm going to use my pen for this because it's hard to make fractions. Okay, this group right here that we circled represents 1/3 of the 12. Okay, so it shows 1/3, just this circled group here. So when we counted up how many there are 4 counters in one group. So 1/3, if this group represents 1/3 and there's 4 counters in it, then 1/3 of 12 would be 4. So one group represents 1/3. There are 4 counters in that 1/3. So 1/3 of all 12 equals 4. 1/3 of 12 would equal 4. So let's try this another way. Okay, so we want to show here, we want to show 1/2 of 8. 1/2 of 8. So we know that means that that denominator tells us how many groups we're going to have. We're going to have 2 equal groups. Remember, they have to be equal. Okay, so if we want to show one of those groups, we're going to circle 2 equal groups. So here are my 8 counters. Here's one group. That's not a good circle, but there's one group of 4 and another equal group of 4. So I have my 2 groups. They each have the same number, 4 here, 4 here. So to find out 1/2, we're only going to use one group. So if I look at one group, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 counters. So if I were to say 1/2 of, try to make my little of here, of 8, that was a hard one, that would equal the number that's in one group, the number of counters in one group, so that would be 4. So 1/2 of 8, that's one group, is 4. Let's try 2 more actually. So looking here, and this is going to be what you're doing on your share and show, you're going to look at a group, okay, we have 6 flowers, and we want to find 1/3 of those flowers. So in order to find 1/3, we have to, the denominator tells us how many groups. There are 3 equal groups, so we have to split these 6 flowers into 3 equal groups. So I can see, here's 1, 2, 3. So if I split this 6 into 3 equal groups, they have to be equal. Okay, each one of these groups has the same amount of flowers in it, and there are 3 groups. So I split, the denominator is 3, so I split this 6 into 3 equal groups. How many are in 1/3? One of those groups. I can see that there are 2. So 1/3 of 6 would be 2. Let's do it over here. This tells us that we want to find 1/6 of 12. So we have our 12 tulips here. 12 tulips. It's appropriate for springtime right now. We have our 12 tulips. We want to find 1/6. So we need to make 6 equal groups. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if I circle 6 equal groups, never mind my crazy circles here. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. They all have the same number of tulips in each group, and there are 6 groups. If I look at one of those groups, I can see that 1/6 of 12 would be 2. You're going to go to your share and show, and you're going to do the exact same thing we just did here. You're going to get a total number, and then you're going to have to find a fraction of that number. Okay, so we found a fraction of 12, 1/6 of 12. We found a fraction of 6, 1/3 of 6. That's what you're going to do on your share and show today. So go ahead and go to Think Central and do lesson 8.8, the share and show.